everyone. This is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my weekly podcast, Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Welcome back. And I say welcome back because I'm seeing that a lot of you are coming back and you're bringing your friends, you're bringing your family, you're bringing your coworkers, and I appreciate that. You know, I'm getting a lot of questions out there from people. One of the big ones is how can we find out more about you? That's easy. Go to thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com, and everything you'd want to know about me, what I do, and what I'm up to would be right there. But I want to jump right in to this week's podcast, so I got a good one. It's near and dear to my heart because I experienced this. And here's what it's all based off of. It's based off of a question that was sent in by a lady by the name of Stacy. All right, and Stacy wrote quite a long email, so I'm going to paraphrase what she asked. But here's what she said. She said that she's new to sales, and she loves it. She says that she loves her product. She loves her customers. She loves her boss. And she says, but in doing this new job, she knew coming in that she would have to do some things that maybe some of the veteran salespeople wouldn't have to do because they'd been there for a while. She said that she understood that she would have to train more. She understood that she'd have to maybe make more phone calls than anybody else, maybe do more follow-up than anybody else, maybe write more thank you notes than anybody else, right? But she says the problem is her surroundings. And what she described as her surroundings is this. She said that when she goes home sometimes in the evening, her plan will be to maybe make some extra telephone calls to some of her clients to see if she can schedule time for them to come in. Or it might be simply to watch an hour or two of training or listen to some training. Or it might be to write some thank you notes. And she said the problem is that her friends will call up, for example, on a Monday night when football season was in, and they would badger her and berate her and give her a lot of peer pressure to go with them to watch Monday Night Football instead of doing what she knew that was going to help her advance her career. She said on days that she would go in a little bit late, or she'd get off a little bit earlier, her friends would do the same thing. They'd call her up and want her to go play tennis, or they'd want her to go maybe to a movie or something like that. And in an effort not to disappoint them, she would go do that, and she would not do these other things that she knew was going to advance her career. And so her question is, how do you develop the discipline within yourself to not disappoint you, to not disappoint your friends, but do what's right, so you can maximize the opportunity in your sales job? And Stacy, that's a great question. It's near and dear to my heart because I too experienced the same thing in my first real true professional sales job. Now, I sold furniture for a while, and I consider that my first real professional sales job. And the reason I do is because it was, even though I had selling jobs before that, it was the first one that I had for a company that had process. I mean, they were professional. They had processes in place. They had stellar training. They held their people accountable. I mean, they were serious about this stuff. It was a true professional sales job, and I loved it, and I loved the product. But like Stacy, I knew that if I wanted to get ahead of the game and take on some of the veterans on the sales floor, and what I mean by that is sell as much as they did, because I didn't have a pipeline, right? I didn't have any past customers. I had to develop on my own. That I was going to have to step it up. That I knew, same thing that Stacy was doing. I'd have to make more phone calls, maybe send out more, do more follow-up, maybe send out more thank you notes. I knew that I really didn't have the knowledge that my coworkers did because they'd been there longer, so I knew that I needed to train. The problem was the same thing with Stacy. My friends, same thing, oddly enough, would call me up like on Monday nights when football season was in and just beg me and badger me until I'd finally relent and go watch football with them. On my afternoons when I was off or when I didn't go in late, same thing as Stacy experienced. My friends would call me up, want me to go play golf, or they'd want me to go to a racetrack and watch some of the cars and stuff like that. And sometimes I was tough, but I tell you what, for too many times in the early days, I didn't want to disappoint my friends. I didn't want to be unpopular, so I fell to the peer pressure and I went. All right, and then I'll tell you what changed it for me. I was a voracious and still am a reader. I love to read. So I always had stuff around to read. And one day I was sitting in the showroom and I read an article by a long-forgotten author. I can't remember who wrote this. I can't remember the magazine, but I used to read a lot of selling magazines. And I'll never forget these things he said. In that magazine, he said, most opportunities are missed by poor choices. Again, most opportunities are missed by poor choices. So I interpret that to mean if I wasn't training and wasn't prepared when these customers came in, I may miss a sale because I made the poor choice of going to have a beer with my friends. I took that to understand that if a customer came in and they needed something and I wasn't able to deliver it by making, or a customer came in and I didn't get a thank you note out to him quick enough because I was going to play golf or go to the racetrack, that I'd made a poor choice, and they may go to somebody else that they'd gotten a follow-up call because I waited an extra day. So maybe the competition called them before I did and they got the sale. I was missing opportunity because I was making poor choices. He also said in that article that selling is really easy when you look at it this way. You're either going to work hard now so it's easy later, or you're going to take it easy on yourself now and it's going to be harder later. Let me say that again. You're either going to work hard now so it's easier later, or you're going to make it easy on yourself now so it's hard later. And here's how I interpret that. I knew what he meant instantly. You know, if I went out when I should have been training, if I went out when I should have been doing follow-up, if I went out when I should have been making phone calls and the like, instead of doing those things, then I was taking it easy now, and it was going to be harder later. Why? Because later when I'd get to the showroom to sell, if I didn't have anybody scheduled to come in, I had to wait solely on people walking through the front door, which is the way most salespeople did it. The problem with that was if it was slow or there was bad weather, nobody would walk in, and then it was hard because then you had to really scramble to make sales. But what I learned and took from that was, hey, you know what? This guy's right. If I put the sweat equity in now, tell my friends no a little bit more, quite a bit more, and stop playing less golf, stop drinking in the evening so much, and I put the sweat equity in now, when I get to the showroom, I'll have people lined up and scheduled to come in and see me, so then I can work with them and close those deals, and then any walk-ins that I would get would just simply be icing on the cake. And if there weren't any walk-ins, it was okay because I was still making sales. I made this, it just made all the sense in the world to me. So what I did is I changed my thinking, and I'm going to share with you here in a second how I changed my thinking, because I think that you'll really warm up to it. It's helped me and benefited me my whole life after reading those things. But first, I got to tell you about this. I've got this book here called Write Service and Write Your Own Paycheck: The Way to Make $100,000. Now, like I've said before, if you're in a position right now, sales position, and you like the service, you like the product, then stay there. Just keep coming back and listening here, and I'll continue to give you good advice and good tips and word tracks and closes and way to handle objections and all that stuff, and make you the best you can be as you're representing that product and service. But if you're representing a product or service and you say, it may be time to move on, this book may be for you. Or if you're listening to this podcast because you're trying to decide, is the sales profession for me? Get this book. This is going to talk to you about a job where you can make $100,000 a year. And I tell you, you can get the book at Amazon.com in hardcover, paperback, or for your Kindle. You can also go to thejeffcowan.com and get the book there. And if you're really motivated, I've created a 10-hour video program to support this book that has all kinds of testing with it. We certify you if you invest in the video thing once you pass all the tests and stuff, which will help you get a job. It's called Write Service, Write Your Own Paycheck. Check it out. Also, I've got this book here that's due to come out. It's called What I've Learned About Sales, Motivation, Leadership, Management, and Life in General from Watching and Attending over 35 Indy 500s. It's a great, we're getting a lot of interest on that, so watch for that book right there because this could be a great one. But now let's get back to the podcast. Stacy writes in and she says she's a new salesperson, knows that she should be training more, knows that she should be doing more follow-up and stuff, but she keeps getting distracted by her friends, wants to know how to develop the discipline in herself to keep that from happening and stay the course so she can maximize the opportunity and be the absolute best you can be. That's a great attitude to have. Okay, so, I got to tell you, as we get into this, as I look back at those painful times that I had to say no to my friends, I'm so glad I did because it's paid off so many times in so many big ways since then. I mean, so a little bit disappointed from there. It's paid off big now. It's great. I could either sweat it out now, just like I talked about before, and it just hit me like I could either do the sweat equity now, maybe not go out for as many drinks, maybe not see as many ball games and stuff, but if I put the sweat in now, it'd be easier, and it was. It was by doing the work now. Once I got into work, the customers were there, like I said earlier, and I made more money. So how does this work? I made more sales, I made more money. Well, here's some steps. Number one, you have to not let your friends define who you are. Don't let others define who you are. Number one, don't let others define who you are. And what I'm saying here is don't fall to peer pressure. See, when your friends come over and they put pressure on you to go out for that drink, they put pressure on you to go to that ball game, they put pressure on you to sit and watch a movie, they put pressure on you to do these things that take you away from what you know you should be doing, they're defining who you are. And to a great degree, they're defining how successful you're going to be. I say don't follow that. Define yourself. If you know that you've got goals in life, things you want to accomplish, things you want to be, and you want to maximize the opportunity, you define that yourself, and you define it by doing what you know needs to be done right now to ensure that happens. Number two, never forget this. Short-term pain gets you long-term gains. All right? more long-term games. It's like I said earlier, and I'm repeating myself when I say this, but by putting in the sweat equity on those Monday nights when my friends are out, by putting that sweat equity on those Thursday afternoons instead of playing golf, what happened is that when I went to the showroom, I had people coming to see me, and it was easier to make the sale because I had people coming in, and then the walk-ins were icing on the cake. Because see, if you do it the other way, if I would have gone out for those drinks and played those golf games, then it gets hard because I show up, and what happens if there's bad weather? What happens if there's no customers? What happens if, and it was worry, and I didn't like that worry. I didn't like the hard later, I like the hard now. Number 3, I love this. Use the short-term pain to grow. Yeah, it was painful to sit there sometimes when I knew my friends were out on a sunny afternoon in the middle of the week on a golf course, not to be out there with it. It was painful to sit there. I mean, I would write handwritten things, until my hands cramped. I would make telephone calls until I was almost hoarse. I mean, that was painful. And it was painful sometimes when I was sitting locked up in my apartment at the time, listening to training or rereading a book. But I learned from that pain, and I allowed it to show me how to grow. And I did grow because every thank you note that I wrote, I would see by the response whether it was right or I needed to make corrections. Every telephone call that I made, based on the response, I knew I was saying the right thing or the wrong thing. So I took that pain and I grew. And every book or video or audio tape that I would listen to, I would grow from that. Maybe painful to miss these other things, but I took that pain and I turned it into growth. Number 4, do what your boss and customers value, not what your friends value. Now, that's hard to do sometimes. Again, I don't think your friends are trying to pull, necessarily keep you from being successful. They want to keep you around and keep you the same because they like who you are now. But they may not have the same vision of you, so it's unlikely that they're going to push you up the ladder. So don't do what they value. What they value is going to keep you away from hitting your goals, it sounds like, Stacy. At least my friends were. So focus on doing what your boss and your customers value. Number 5, your purpose. You have to think about this. Your purpose is more important than being popular. Now let me say that again. Your purpose is more important than being popular. I knew that the more I told my friends no, because it got easier and easier for me to tell them no, because I learned that, again, by working hard now, it was easier later, and I liked that. I loved that. I knew that I was going to become less and less popular with them because I saw it happen, where I might get 3 or 4 friends call me to ask me to go do something. Over a few weeks, that turned to just a couple of those friends doing that. And then it turned down to 1 friend doing that. And it got to a point where almost nobody called, and if I wanted to do something, I would have to call them after I was freed and say, hey, what are you guys up to? I would like to join you. So did it hurt the popularity? Maybe just a little bit, but you know what? That's not what my purpose was. And I'm so glad I made that decision back then, because when I look back at who I was trying to be popular with, those people aren't even my friends anymore. And it's not because they're bad people. I still like to talk to them from time to time. But I had a purpose, and my purpose was just not going and sitting in a bar and watching a Monday night football game. My purpose was to make enough sales, to make enough commission so I could go to the game, or I could get on an airplane and follow my team to the next town. I could get that new furniture for the house. I could get that new suit. I could go on that vacation. Number 6, your customers and bosses are more important than instant pleasure. You see, if I don't keep the boss happy, then I'm not going to have a job. If I don't have a job, I can't make money, and I won't get the pleasure out of things that you so enjoy in life. I wouldn't have the money to go play golf. I wouldn't have the money to go out at night. If I didn't do what my customers needed me to do to make them happy, to motivate them to buy, then I wouldn't make the sale. I wouldn't get the commission, and I couldn't go do the things that brought me pleasure in life. So making your customers and your customers and your bosses are more important than instant pleasure. Number 7, peace of mind is more important than worrying. Again, I know I'm repeating myself over and over, but when it was so clear so fast that, boy, you know what? I did miss most of Monday Night Football. Didn't get there until almost the 4th quarter. All right, but those 2 hours that I put into writing those thank you notes, when I got to work, 3 of those people came in and bought with me doing very little because I'd talked to them before. That peace of mind in knowing that when I made those phone calls, there was a certain number of people that were going to respond in a positive way and come in and do business with me. By listening to those tapes and reading those books and then doing that taking that couple hours to do that, I would learn something so that when somebody came in, I was prepared no matter what they threw at me. So it gave me peace of mind. It gave me security. And it was much better than going in and sitting around, not prepared, not having done what I just talked about, and worrying, is somebody going to walk in the front door? So, the final step here is this, the 8th step. Focus on training yourself. Focus on what will make your boss and customers happy instead of living in fear of doing neither. Because if you're not doing what makes your boss happy, if you're not doing what makes customers happy, then there's a lot of fear that comes with that, because if nobody's coming in to see you and nobody's buying because you're not prepared, because you didn't train yourself, there's a lot of worry. So again, focus on training yourself and focus on what will make your boss and customers happy instead of living in fear because you did neither. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this message. I really like talking about it because, again, it's something near to my heart. I did the same thing. Boy, when I was a brand new salesperson, I struggled. Do I want to be with my friends or do I want to do what's over here? And I'm so glad, because it served me so well to develop that within myself. It's actually most of my friends I now have that are in sales, they kind of think the same way. So it just gets easier and easier and easier. And the things that I got to experience, the things I got to have, the pleasures I got to enjoy, above and beyond these friends who were trying to pull me away and do these other things, I got to do so much more than they did and experience so much more that in my mind it paid off. And again, I never tried to run my friends off. I love my friends and all that stuff, but my purpose in life was bigger than a beer on Monday night. My purpose in life was bigger than a golf game on Thursday afternoon. My purpose in life was bigger than those things. I wanted more. I had to have more. I went for more. I got more, and I did it because I did what was hard now, so it'd be easier later. It's never failed me, and it won't fail you. Hey, my name's Jeff Cowan from thejeffcowan.com. Come and see us there on that website. Between now and next week, when I come back with another great message, and I promise next week's going to be great. We're going to talk about one of my favorite closes, so make sure you come back and watch that, okay? But in between now and then, go write some thank you notes, make some phone calls, do what you know is hard to do right now. Train, read some books, watch some training, be prepared for anything that walks in front of you. Get in front of as many customers as you can, close those deals, earn that commission, and go enjoy the life you so deserve. Again, the Jeff Cowan here from thejeffcowan.com. Make it a great week, because all those things I just told you to do, that's what I'm going to do. You can count on it. Take care.